If you don't accept your mom and your dad, it's like you're not accepting yourself. When you face the reality of we cannot move forward, it would go backward, accept what is going on, and then move. I also did conscious discipline with Becky Daly. And what I learned through there was also very impactful for my therapy.
What are the kinds of things that they are trying to heal, or what do you usually see when women come to you that something's feeling off?
They usually come because there's a broken link between them and the connection with their son, daughter. It could be a teenager, a toddler. When you don't go back and you don't fix the generational patterns, it's impossible to have that patience.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Help Them Bloom. Today, we're going to talk all about parenting things like intergenerational patterns, guilt, and why parenting feels so hard, maybe even in terms you didn't even ever think about. I have a lovely guest with me today. Her name is Andrea Paola. She is a mother. She's a psychologist. She's a health coach. She's also the founder of a juice bar, Green G Miami. And she really likes to work with especially women rooted in transformational parenting. She likes to help women heal and grow by embracing a truth that she has started to live by, which is that parenting isn't only about our children, it is about us. Ain't that the truth? That is definitely something that I live by, that I preach, that I practice. So I'm really happy to have you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I think what's so important to start with is acknowledging that parenting feels hard, and that's completely normal. There's a lot of pressure to show up as a perfect parent, and what I really want to highlight is the reality behind the scenes. The exhaustion, the guilt, the moments that feel like we're failing and we're really not. Is that guilt behind where we're trying to, change from what we have seen, what we feel, and from like truly us.
And the constant of it, like, it just is it feels like never ending. Your days are never ending, right? Your kids are needing they need so much from you all the time that it's, I think, a combination between what your kids need from you and probably the pressure that we put on ourselves to really meet a certain expectation. Why do you think that guilt is so apparent in our society?
I feel that when it comes to me and other women, I don't know if it happened to you, but when I got pregnant, there was this pressure of, oh my God, what should I do? How should I do it? And then all of these memories. And as soon as I was pregnant, I was already feeling, that mommy guilt. It's even in the pregnancy, like how do I do this? Can my body do it? So a lot of it that I have found when I talk to other mothers and when I went through my own journey was generational patterns. You know,
Mhm.
like all our belief system was created back when we were young, and then it all comes back. And I feel like when my daughter, she's 7 now, Violeta, when I saw Violeta, it's like I immediately saw like all my fears, and she looks a lot like
Mhm.
me. And I was like,
Mm.
why is she looking just like me? And it's like that wall came up, and that's when I started to like really dig in. Like, why is it that I feel so uncomfortable doing this motherhood journey? And that's when I saw that we all carry that guilt, that anxiety, that fear of not being enough, without realizing these feelings are linked to how our mothers like actually parent us. And
Yeah.
a lot of my fears when I looked at my daughter was, am I gonna do it like my mom? I
Yeah.
didn't have a dad, so that's when it all clicked. And like I said, I have a background in psychology, and I used to look at classes like human growth and development, experiential, tacit knowledge, and how do we preserve it and move it to other generations. Green G, it's called Green G for Green Generation. Even when I became a health coach, this generational thing keeps clicking in my life. But when I became a parent, that's when everything just
Yeah.
made sense.
Do you have any knowledge or awareness in family constellations?
I did them myself. I
Okay.
went through the whole process, and that's when everything even became more clear. And that's when I decided to be a parent coach, and it all
Hmm.
make a cohesive. This is what I want to do from now on. Because before I was a health coach, I did Green
Mhm.
G, everything, the generational was always there. Even
Uh-huh.
when I created Green G, it was about like going back to our roots. I always
Yeah.
use that in Green G from healing from the inside out. But
Right.
when I became a parent, that's when it all hit.
Yeah.
Like my conscious level, like my
Yeah.
patience, the questioning.
They wake up things in us. Our kids wake up things in us and they trigger and activate things in us. I think that it's so complex and at the same time it's such a beautiful opportunity because they're going to show us where we need to heal, what we need to work on, but we have to be willing to look at it that way instead of only being burnt out and exhausted and guilty all the time, right? If we're like, what is this? What is this telling me? What is this showing me? And we look at it with curiosity, we can actually move some of that and transform some of that into healing. This is really what people mean by healing, right? It's kind of healing things that we carry, like you're saying, that are not necessarily ours. It's things we've picked up on from the past and to not basically then burden our own kids with the same things. So let me go back
100%.
to 1 second to your experience of family constellations. I'm super into this, by the way. I have my first appointment with in November. I'm very excited. I'm watching the show Another Self. I don't know if you saw it, but
Yes, of course.
I'm really just getting into it. Can you share with us, if you don't mind, like what was your big takeaway from doing that you were like, okay, now I want to bring this into my parenting and then help other parents when you did family constellation?
It all started because, like I said, when I had Violeta, all these things clicked, and I was very like nervous. My husband, he noticed it. He's like, "What is it that really? I mean, we're doing everything right, but you don't seem to enjoy it. Like, what's going on?" So that's when we found family constellations. I went in thinking, I don't know, I went in asking something random, like I have like anxiety. I feel like I'm not okay. I keep crying and I don't even know why am I crying. I thought when I went to mine, because back then I didn't even know what was this therapy
Yeah.
session, right? No clue, no background. We just found her on Google and I said, okay, let's go. Because what I kept repeating myself, and the one who actually caught it with my husband, you keep talking about your dad and your mom. And I
Mhm.
kept saying is that I didn't have a family. And he
Mm.
said, yes, you had a family, you had a mom and a dad. And I was like, yeah, but it was like really messed up. So every time I kept thinking about it, he said he had like a different type of family style. And that's when we started like comparing, and it was like, no, no, no. So we went to this therapy. He was the one that actually Googled it. And I went into the therapy, and the first thing she tells me is, if you don't accept your mom and your dad, it's like you're not accepting yourself.
Huh.
You're 50-50. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I feel with Violeta. This is exactly what I need to know, because every time I don't accept my mom and my dad, I'm not accepting myself.
Huh.
So it means I have to go back again to my roots, to my generational, all my trauma and that feeling of not being enough, the anxiety, the guilt, and what had passed down through our generations. I knew it through, as a health coach, I started to see that the habits become, things that we inherit from what they tell us, and kind of the mindset and breaking through that.
Yeah.
But everything is very like informational. But when you go into constellations, it's
Yeah.
very emotional.
Mm.
It's very within like your nervous system, how do you see things and how do you feel things. I told my therapist, oh my God, I'm a psychologist, I've been doing this for like 12 years and and she's like, yeah, because you're here, you're in your mind, you're not feeling,
In
you
your
don't want to
body.
feel,
Yeah.
you're in your theory,
Yeah.
we need to be in the
In
body.
your
So the
body.
whole
Yeah.
therapy starts like that. What is really cool is to know when you face the reality of we cannot move forward if we don't go backward, accept what is going on, and then move. I also did conscious discipline with Becky Bailey. And what I learned through there was also very impactful for my therapy. Because I was like, wait a minute. So if we go to 0 to 6, and this is where we create our belief system, there's no way I can raise my daughter differently if I don't go back to that 0 6. So that's when I started the journey of let's go to generational patterns.
Going back
And
to
then,
your 0 to 6, you're saying, when you were little.
correct.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that's why I did the family constellations. And I did 5 sessions. Constellations is something you don't have to stop. It's something that you can keep going on. But sometimes between each therapy, you find out things about yourself that they hurt, and you have to do the process of bringing that those memories, accept them, and then kind of move on. And
Yeah.
sometimes it can take you months, sometimes it can take you up to a year, 2 years, and then you go back because
Did
there's a
you
lot of
feel did you feel like it really moved that energy for you? Like, when you've had that realization of, "I don't accept my mother and my father," meaning I actually don't accept a big part of myself, I am from them, right? So, did you feel like that was a really big changing point for you?
that was like the whole what everything it just moved everything because until that point I didn't think about my dad.
Mhm.
Like I mean, he passed away. I was actually not happy that he passed away, but like I didn't miss him or
Didn't
I
have a
didn't miss that
relation.
part of my life.
Mhm.
So I kept, being in the United States with my mom. I did my whole life. I was very into reading always and
Yeah.
always into psychology. So there was a reason.
Yeah.
I guess my body
Was
was
looking
looking
for it.
for that,
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
And then that's what I said when Violeta came into my life. She just moved everything. And
Yeah.
we wanted to, I wanted to be that better mother. And I don't know, the universe gave me this husband who's very, very family oriented. And he saw that we were doing like, he was a different dad. And I kept crying when I would see him and Violeta be together. I didn't want to accept back then. And I didn't even think about it, that it was moving me because, oh, that's how it looks to have a dad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all of that, I kind of moved me. So going to the therapy of family and actually like talking, doing letters to my dad, closing my eyes and feeling closer to what could have been or why he did things the way he did. But I accepted that, he gave me a lot of things, and thanks to him, I'm here and this is my process, and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna move, forward.
Yeah.
I feel like with family constellation, it's easier when one of them has passed away because you're like, there's not an answer back.
Mm.
And that's when I came back. I came back when I noticed that with my mother who's still alive, it was harder. It
Mm.
was harder to
But because
do
you
that
still have that
acceptance.
relationship, you have to,
Correct.
right?
We
It's
have
got
to fix it, right?
so, like,
and
with your dad, it was more closure. It was closure. And with
it
your
was
mom,
closure.
it's more like, this has to evolve, right? Like, there's
That's why
stuff
I continue and I keep saying it's a journey. It's a
it's a journey.
journey. And that's why I even tell my clients when they come, we can do the 12-week program. There's always a comeback because there's so much that it moves that it's impossible to do it in 12 weeks. But what we do in the 12 weeks is to move you, like to spark that in you so that you could keep doing, I don't know, therapy like family constellations, or you could do Becky Bailey, which is conscious discipline, which also teaches a lot on like
Yeah. Yeah.
parenting.
I want to tell you about this app that I discovered that is super helpful. It's a parenting app and it's called Wizer, Wizzer. It's a parenting app that uses AI to give you personalized support for hard stuff like tantrums, sleep struggles, screen time battles, and many more things. It provides 24/7 expert backed tools and real time coaching. It also helps you raise kids with empathy, emotion regulation, and life skills that matter the most. They believe that no parent should feel alone, and that's why they created this safe, judgment free community to connect and grow with other people who get it. They are providing my listeners with a 2-month free trial with a promo code BLOOM2FREE. That is BLOOM number 2 FREE. I want to take a quick break from this episode to share more about my services offered at Hatch and Bloom. Whether you're seeking personalized one-on-one guidance or insightful group learning, we have the right support for you. Our private sessions provide you with the tools and strategies needed to support your child's growth. So take the next step in nurturing your child's potential and book a session with me today. Please visit hatchandbloom.co. That's .co. Or you can email me at evelyn@hatchandbloom.co. Now, back to the episode. Okay, so you work with women and you do a lot of the inner work, which it's the stuff that they carry from previous generations, right? When they come into you, what are the kinds of things that they are trying to heal, or what do you usually see when women come to you that they something's feeling off.
They usually come because there's a broken link between them and the connection with their either son, daughter. It could be a teenager, a toddler, but usually they come because how do I do this? They're full of it. They can manage the stress, and in the end, what I see, and that I also learned that from the therapy of family constellation, is the inner child.
Mhm.
When you don't go back and you don't fix the generational patterns, it's impossible to have that patience. Because
Mhm.
every time you look at your kid right in the eye, there's another kid right here in your heart that you
It's like
think it's an
yeah,
adult,
yeah.
but
It's
then it
almost
hits and
it
it goes the ego. Boop.
right, because it's like your child looking at the child in front of you, right? It's a lot of times we don't realize that it's really just two children talking to each other. And it's I think this is gonna sound very strange for people that don't have awareness in this, but once you get into the inner child work, this is what the inner child work is. Really, it's going back into when you were a child and really understanding what were the wounds, because every child will carry wounds, right? It's impossible to go through life feeling completely perfect,
100%.
and remembering that you experienced life back then with a child brain that couldn't make sense, even if things weren't meant to harm you. You couldn't always make sense of things, like why they were happening, right? So here's an example. You could have had a family that the parents would fight a lot. And so if you grew up around that, you couldn't necessarily make sense that this is something just between them. You could have even felt like this has to do with me, or this creates unsafety in me, or I don't know how to show emotions in my family because everything feels very tense. So it's just belief systems and feelings that you carry since when you're very, very little, and you don't realize that they kind of become a part of your DNA. They're like in your body. Right. And so what happens is, because you're still that kind of gets locked into the child's brain, you're still behaving that way as an adult.
Mhm.
That's really what we're seeing. Right. So a lot of times when we see these interactions between adults, parents, and children, it's like what you're saying. It's almost like an interaction between two children. It's the child within you with the child in front of you. And if you don't have awareness of that, you're not going to, it's going to be very hard to change that. Mhm.
And that's why all the moms, when they come with that. I have fear, anxiety, there's guilt, but it's also
Mm.
because the belief systems that we create, like you mentioned that in that example. I mean, we might not be part of the fight or the arguing that is going on in our families, but kids feel fear
Yeah.
very easily. They're very sensitive. So we're not saying, oh, you traumatize your kid for this or that. I mean, we
It's
don't
how
know
they
when
perceived it. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why you can have two kids and they would act completely different.
Completely
If
different.
you
And they
ask
have
my
different
sister,
belief systems. Yeah.
100%. Because every time I talk to a mother, you tell them, "Oh, but I raised them the same. But this one says I do this, and this one says that she didn't like that, and I understand if I did the same thing for both." And it's
Mhm.
because how we see things. So the fear. That's why everyone. I feel like anxiety and fear is a big topic in psychology and like in society overall. But then when we talked about that inner child, it hits everyone.
What's so interesting, Andrea, is that lately, this has been my year where I'm just discovering all. It's interesting. I've always taught this, and I've always kind of worked with clients on this, but I have never really done the work myself. I thought I did my work, right? Like I did. What I realized is I've only done very surface work, and this has been the most transformational year of my life, and it's really gone very deep. And you're speaking about fear, like this has just come up for me that underneath, like, it's these layers, right, of like the onion, like you peel it
Mhm.
and you peel it and you peel it, and what I'm noticing is that the fear for me is probably the biggest, hardest feeling, and that I think that I actually felt fear very often as a child, and it was not that I was in an unsafe environment, it was just the way I would experience things, right, or the way
Yes.
I couldn't share about things, or I couldn't understand things. So even though my family was very safe and loving and beautiful, I still went through things alone, and that felt like a lot of fear. And so I'm only now understanding the impact of fear, because one of the basic needs of a child is to feel safe.
See, that's 100%. And in the therapy that you're gonna have, you're gonna you're gonna see that because fear is so sensitive as, I don't know, one day you scream and in that moment he hadn't had a good sleep and then his heart started to, that's why it's so important to give empathy to a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
And after everything I go through with my in my sessions, I always tell them at the end when people say, even yogis and all of this, it's about love and empathy. It is truly that. If you don't give love and empathy to a child, at any time he could feel that fear. So that's why, as a mom, the more you grow and the more you look into why you fear, and that's why you have to go to generational parents because only you know your life back then. Only
Yeah.
your mom and your dad. So that's why if you have them alive, it's really cool because you can ask
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Because
It
sometimes
doesn't
you
even stop
forget.
there. It doesn't even stop at your mom and your dad. It's your mom and your dad get it from their mom and their dad, right? So it's and I don't know how far back you go when you do family constellations. Do you go into grandparents? Like, where do you go?
Yes, you go there and you also, I learned this through my doulas because I have both pregnancy naturals and we talked with the doulas and I had this very enriched. She was so knowledgeable. And it goes back to even saying when you have a daughter, the her eggs, so when she becomes a mom, they're ingrained with the grandma's DNA.
Grandmothers. Yes,
So
I
your
do.
maternal shows up in your daughter. So technically I show up to my mom as my grandma. And I remind her of her in sneaky ways. When I told her about this therapy, she was like, "Oh my God, Andrea, yeah, every time you do this, you remind me of my mother. And that's why, it kind of, I scream because I feel like you're my mom, like coming
Oh,
back at me
wow.
and you have this personality." Because my personality is very like, I had the guilt. Mine was guilt, a lot of guilt. So because I feel guilt, I always want to be Miss Perfect.
Mm,
So overachiever, all of that so that I can have always like a good argument and
mm,
like win it. And my mom would tell me that. And that would like throw her off. And she was like, that's how my mother treated me. Like I had to be this perfect. And you're just like, if grandma was here, she would love you, because
yeah.
it's like exactly what she wanted from me and exactly what I didn't give it. So yeah, it goes back all to parent like that. And even in constellations, they tell you to look back, and then you look back and you keep digging in, and they're very powerful
Did you
moments.
do the one
That
with the people or the one with the, like, with the things? With live
I did it.
people?
No, I did it private, and the reason why I did it private was because I had the urge to not mess up Violeta. Violeta was already like, I don't know, 5 months, and I didn't want to, explode, hit her. I don't know. I didn't want to be that type of mom.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like I really want this, and it truly helped me because conscious discipline, Montessori. I had her on a Montessori, so I always worked on how do I have the patience so that I don't mess up the child. And in the journey, I believe I learned. I Like I said, there's no perfect parenting, but I always tell my clients, if out of 10 times you can mess up, you did two, clap, clap, because it's something you did. You could have messed up 10 times but you only did two. So I mean, I learned that I cannot be perfect, that I accept the way I am, and that I will do it the best that I can. And it
Mhm.
truly happens. Believe it or not, it truly happens. A lot of people tell me, "Oh, why your kids are like so well behaved," because that's how. Which I don't like it because I feel really bad when they say that in front of their own kids. I'm like,
Mm.
please, your kid it just needs empathy. I'm very empathetic with Violeta and Luca. So now I have a 3-year old. But it wasn't that it happened all of a sudden. I went through therapy. I went through my own journey. I
Yeah.
questioned. That's why I always tell my client, please don't leave it to intuition.
Yeah.
That's why I became a parent coach. Because I was even in pregnancy. There's so much to learn so that you can move forward. Because it's not that it gets harder. Because to me, it's not like it's harder, but you guys are growing together. So it's for me, it's equal growth for kids equals growth for parents. We're growing together. And I always tell them that don't be so hard on yourself because if you're hard on yourself, she will notice. Because kids can, I tell them that I don't know if it's going to sound weird too, but it's like dogs. When you fear them, they fear you and they
Yeah.
know. That's how kids are. If you're lying, they know you're lying. So it's better to accept, okay, I'm really mad right now. I can't talk. I prefer to keep my words to myself and I'm going to sit here I want to be angry because right now my body feels like really
Yeah.
tense.
Like,
And then Violeta kind of repeats.
showing up genuinely to your kids, right? Like, not having to put on this mask of we're perfect or we don't have feelings or, like, it's okay that we mess up too. Like, that perfectionism is very, very hard on us, but it also is very hard once our kids kind of catch that, right? Like, that's a very hard thing to grow up with. It's unattainable and it's not sustainable, and it can really, really hurt us. So this feeling of like something, it never feels enough is a really, really tough feeling. Like I don't feel good enough. This doesn't feel enough. You're always chasing something. So that sounds like you had to do some work on that part.
Yeah,
I
I
also
had
have to do work on. I'm doing work on that part too. Mhm.
every kid is different.
Yeah.
So every kid will push buttons that are different. Violeta was like more on my patient side. Luca, I'm seeing different things. That's why I said constellations, and even having a coach like myself, it's good for myself because keep like stuff keeps coming back, and it's a constant work. So I had to learn to give myself that time and to like break those cycles and try to create like a different family dynamics.
Yeah.
I mean, what is healthier and how can we can define it? Is this is new for everyone. It's
Yeah.
a completely different parent style than ever before because we have
Yeah.
now so much information.
Yeah.
But I feel that that saying of if you're good, baby's good. And I remember when I was pregnant, like when I used to go to my gynecologist and say OBGYN, sorry, uh, and said, "Is everything okay? Is everything okay?" He would say, "If baby wants to come, baby will come."
Mhm.
And that stuck with me because it is like that. They're gonna grow and it's gonna happen and they're gonna have their own things to search for their own generational parents because like I said, even if we want to do it perfect, there's gonna be times where they feel fear. And sometimes it cannot be even from us. When they go to school and they go through I don't know if it happens to you, but Violeta now is 7 and I don't know, her girlfriend said I don't want to sit with you. And she had to sit by herself. And she started to feel what is loneliness, what is
Yep.
fear. And it's not at home, it's
Yeah.
somewhere else. And then I have to give her the tools without thinking it was me. Because I remember I used to eat alone when I was younger because I had a lot of stuff and I didn't have that. And I said to myself, it's showing up now in my daughter. Even though she's completely different, raised completely different, but this is something that the universe wants to show me again to see my
Yep.
reaction. So what I did was react differently. Oh, it's okay.
I think
How did you do? How did you resolve it? And she said, I ate with my teacher. And I said, great, great. That's a great, I was
I think one of the most important points there is the fact that she's talking to you about it because that already, like kind of what you said, there's always going to be stuff going on. It's impossible to
hmm
create perfection, and that's not the point. The point is really to have a range of experiences in life, including hard ones, including all the feelings, including all these, the struggles. This is where they're going to build resilience too. But I think the fact at least the difference here where my daughter talks to me about the stuff that goes on in her life that feels very challenging is that I did not feel like I could do that when I was little. I didn't have the words to say to my parents. I felt embarrassed, I felt ashamed, I felt scared of really kind of acknowledging the pain that I was sometimes going through or asking for help. I didn't want to burden anyone. So the fact that she's coming to you to tell you this is what happened at school, or my daughter is coming to tell me, that is already a huge shift in in the dynamic you're creating for her generation,
her
right?
family.
So it's not that you have to keep their life completely remove all obstacles. That's not the point. The point is really that they feel safe with you and that they feel like they can come to you with this sort of pain, right? You're not going to just fix it all, but you're going to be there with them. They're not alone. So I think that's been for me one of the biggest shifts that I'm still creating in terms of from generation to generation is the shatter of silence and for my kids to know that we talk about things and we talk about hard things in my house. That for me is very, very
It's a
important.
big one.
Yeah,
No,
it's a
and
really
it's a
big
big
one.
one.
It's I believe it to my core. I'm doing a really big project over it too. So hopefully more announcements to come on that. But this, I totally feel you on this. This is the road I'm on. I can't wait to have my own family constellation session.
Experience,
I
yes.
know. I watched the Another Self show and I'm like, it cannot be that this is what it is, but I hear a lot of it is what it is. He's having us, the person I'm going to see is wants us to, I think my husband's going to do it too. He wants us first to participate in one of the group ones as a participant,
Mhm.
and where you play the roles for the other people, right? Like they do in the show. And then you do one with him. But he says that that opens up your energies, that you're and that you really feel what the role they put you in. It's really incredible. It's all energy, right? Like it's all energy, but I am mind blown by this
And
whole
you
new world.
choose it. In that therapy, that's when it clicks that, "Oh my god, this person doesn't know me, I don't know them,
Right.
yet it comes out perfectly."
Yes.
And then you
That's
kind of
not
believe more.
it's like meant to be. Yeah,
It's
I
just
don't know.
because
This
when
is
you start
where
your therapy yourself, it's like, "Oh, okay, he knows, he's asking me questions." But when
right.
it's a different person and then it just makes
It,
sense for you and at the same time for to
yeah.
the other person, it's like,
It's like, wow.
it
Yeah,
completes.
yeah, yeah. This is what I've
Yeah,
heard. So
is
I'm
that a
really
ha
excited, and I can't wait to report back on that. Yay.
and
Okay.
I'm glad that you're gonna do it with your husband
Yes.
because my husband did it after, like a year and a half after. It also helps with your marriage,
Yeah.
with the value because at the
We have
end you're
had
meeting.
no, like, he's thankfully been doing a lot of this inner work at very parallel simultaneously to me. So we have so much newfound awareness of the family dynamics we come from, our belief systems that were created, our beliefs about ourselves that were created. And so like now we can understand each other so differently. It's funny, we've been together I think 8 years at this point, married for I don't even know if 4 or 5. He's I don't even know, but it I'm only I know. This is what happens I think also when it's your second husband, you just stop counting. So, yeah, yeah.
The memory
But
go
but I'm only just getting to know him, and he's only just getting to know me in a completely new way because I'm only just getting to know myself, right? So it's really incredible and really powerful. I really appreciate and love that you're doing this work as well. So this is so wonderful that you're here to support our community moms to really encourage them to do some of this. If you could leave moms with just, or even dads, or anybody, any parent, with any last kind of encouraging words, what would they be?
I would tell them to look into generational patterns, go deep, don't stop on the, positive mindset and there's overexcitement on positivity and how
Yeah,
to do things right. I think it really goes back to yourself and to within and not from like you said, like the surface. You really have to go deep. And for that you need to ask for help. You need
yeah,
to do this kind of therapies, kind of like the 12-week program that I have. But you need to look into those emotional ones because that will give you the true empathy for your kids, your husband, like even the whole family dynamics, it just changes. Like I
yeah,
said, when my husband and I did also constellations and our family therapy, everything clicked and you feel like less heavy
yeah.
because now you're gonna build your own. You're not building something that you're carrying.
You're not
You're just
caring
doing
from
it
the past.
yourself.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and you feel like everything that you thought you could have bring to this wrong, actually you have like a blank slate.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty
that's
cool.
when you can write your own story.
Yeah, we get to choose what we wanna keep from the past because we
Mhm.
have some beautiful things that come from the past as well, right? So, our lineage is beautiful, it's powerful, and we get to choose. This is something it's really kind of being aware. It's the awareness. It's the awareness of we're not doing things blindly just because we've been built this way or we're carrying somebody else's stuff. So, thank you
And you
so much.
just said it, choose.
Yes.
So choose. That ability to
To
choose is
choose
what
is
truly
that
clicks.
it is. Thank you so much, Andrea, for being here
Well,
today.
thank you.
This was wonderful, and I will go ahead and make sure to post your information where people can find you
Thank
on
you.
the show notes. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey everyone, it's Evelyn. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your support truly means the world to me. If you're interested in hosting a parenting workshop, I'd love to connect. Whether it's a private session for parents, a school event, or a corporate workshop, I'm here to help bring valuable insights and strategies to your community. Let's chat and make it happen. please visit hatchandbloom.co. That's .co. Or you can email me at evelyn@hatchandbloom.co.